Being as it's 4:45. Excuse me. I'll call the park and rec meeting to order. Tuesday, May 5th. Is there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there is not. You'll just have to broadcast so they can hear you on the microphone. So speak loudly.
Speak loudly. Everything. Does everybody hear what I said? What changes to the agenda?
Correct.
Did it work now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Moved to adopt
Okay.
as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's been adopted. Chad, you want to look at the review of recommended resolutions for applying for stewardship grants?
Correct. So in your memo, or in your package, you should have found in my memo, we talked about the stewardship application. Craig Shue is on with us in case you have any questions. He's our engineer from Ayers and Associates, helping us out with the application process for the stewardship grant. Basically, we're just presenting the required resolution, authorizing us to apply for the grant, and then, like you said, like it talks about in the resolution that I can submit the paperwork and all the fun stuff for grant funding. So this is going towards the new Blackmore Trail project. We're also working on with the CDGB grant that Ayers and Associates is helping us out with that as well. And that we're going to be applying for that in the future. But we're trying to go for every and any type of funding opportunities that are out there to help us with the project, with the extension of the new Blackmore Trail. I guess if you have any questions, if Craig wants to say anything, or if you guys have any questions, Craig can answer as well. We're working on design aspects of that currently. There's conversations with the DOT that we need to have, and Craig is setting those up to just work with working in the DOT right away along 54. So those are kind of things that are in process right now.
When will we know about these grants?
Craig, do you know when a stewardship grant is awarded? I don't have that in front of me right now.
So, well, to back up just a little bit, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. We're anticipating a 2021 construction of this project. Typically, the grant awards come out in October. Don't know if that will change at all with COVID-19, but that's what policy has been previously, is October.
Looking for anybody got any other questions? Sorry?
Then he will take care of all the jumping through the hoops with the DOT and everybody else. He'll be in charge of that stuff.
Correct. We have hired Ayers to do the design and work on the permitting process.
Okay.
Just because it's pretty lengthy going through all that stuff.
Right, that's
They're
right.
experts at that. Correct. So Ayers and Associates have been hired to assist us with grant writing, the design and bid of the project, and all those permits that we got to jump through. I don't know if there's environmental we got to do, if there's wetland delineation that we did or have to do. There's a bunch of other hoops we have to jump through with the project.
Okay.
Does it look like there's going to be any big issues with going around the bypass on Highway 54 when you go underneath 45?
Craig and I did have a conference call already with the DOT, kind of explaining the process, macro approach to the process, and there's things that there's going to be some give and take depending on how they want to see things done. I think we talked about how things are going to be drainage issues and whether we're going to have to put a curb along the side. And I don't know, Craig, is there anything else you want to spark in your head with our asks and their wants in that initial meeting?
So yeah, the biggest hurdle right now is going to be the construction of the trail underneath the 45 interchange area, that 45 bridge. When we had the meeting, it was with North Central Region DNR or DOT staff members. They were from Wisconsin Rapids and Rhinelander. Unfortunately, the major player, their bridge engineer, was not able to join us on that meeting. So we're planning on setting up another one here in the next month or so to discuss with that engineer specifically how we can go about doing a retaining wall underneath that structure to replace the slope that is there to a vertical wall so that we can get that trail underneath, wide enough so that we can put a barrier between the trail and the eastbound traffic and get the trail to the width that's desired in all of the applications and funding.
Does anybody else have any questions? We're looking for a recommendation to bring this to council, is that correct? I get a motion to bring, motion to council consider approving the proposed resolution authorizing staff to apply for recreational aid for the new Blackboard Trail.
So moved.
Motion.
Made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Yeah, I guess you want to take care of that comprehensive outdoor recreational plan?
Yep. As you probably remember, several months ago, we contracted out with East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission to work on our 5-year open space and recreation plan, or comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. Those words and same thing. Trish now from East Central Regional Planning Commission is here to kind of talk about where she got with the process. I believe she has a PowerPoint that she can kind of take over, and Trish is actually a New London native. So she knows the area quite well. So Trish, I'll leave it up to you. And you can, if you move your mouse around, you should be able to share your screen.
Yep, I think I have it down on the bottom there. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we're kind of new here with all the technology that's going on. But again, thank you guys for having me tonight. As Chad said, I actually was born in New London, grew up there, graduated, from the high school. Lots changed since then, but I know the parks pretty well and wrote the last park plan. So just ready to do that update again. So those 5 years plus go really fast. Got a little PowerPoint for you here. Let me get that up and we'll get it going. Can you guys see that okay?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure everybody really knows if what East Central actually is. So I thought I'd just kind of give you a quick overview with the park board here, Park and Rec Board. Again, we're a 10-county region. We cover about 5,900 square miles. There's probably close to 300 plus parks in the region, give or take a few. But those are our member counties: Calumet, Fond du Lac, Green Lake, Marquette are non-members. We have Menominee, Outagamie, Shawano. New London is actually within Wapaka. I kind of did it looks like I did a typo there, but you can thank Wapaka County for this.
Trish, we cannot see your screen, Trish.
You can't see it?
No.
That's weird.
Share screen again once.
Let me try it again here. That's kind of strange because I just hit share screen. Did it go now?
Something's changing.
Can you see it now?
Nope, not yet.
Otherwise, we may have to just kind of wing it, and I can talk here, but I was hoping we could do the application window. Let me see here. See if we can get it to go. I'm not used to Zoom. We use a different platform.
We are good now. We can see it.
Now you can see it? Okay. I just had to kind of clear it off a little bit there. So really what I was talking about, just kind of giving you a little bit of an overview of the East Central Planning Commission. We're, again, that 10-county region, 5,900 square miles. And then we cover those 10 counties. 2 of the counties are non-members right now. New London, covers Outagamie and Wapaka County. So a lot of our tax dollars are coming from those 2 counties to actually help us prepare this plan. So they subsidize a lot of our technical assistance requests. The planning programs, we have quite a few: environmental, economic development, of course, the park and rec, the land use, housing, community. A lot of transportation, and then we do have our mapping and GIS staff on board. So this is really how we got here. Chad had submitted technical assistance request early on well, I should say probably later last year, wanting to update the plan. So usually this is about a 12-month or so process, depending on the community, what has been done before. The corp elements that are really required through the Wisconsin DNR have you do a community background, which includes your population and demographic data. We'll look at your parks and rec inventory, what's out there, what you have right now, as well as the amenities. Then we'll look at public participation, maybe with a survey or even a meeting. Needs assessment, level of service. Do you have enough to support your growing population? Health assessment is not really a requirement of DNR, but I do add in an extra chapter with the health assessment. It is something else that you can apply for other grants out there with that chapter. And then we'll kind of go into the ideas, recommendations. We'll look at your trails. You guys were just talking about this, the Newton Blackmore Trail and some other trails that you have within the city. Mapping and analysis, and then if you require any printing, that kind of thing, as far as hard copy documents, East Central will provide that as well. So really, this is why you need that corp, to apply for those grants. So you're applying for that stewardship funding with the trail. There's the health-based grants, there's federal and state. You have the transportation alternative program, which I believe Chad has applied for in the past. So basically all those are requirements under chapter NR 50 of the Wisconsin Code. The corp is not really geared underneath state statutes at all. It's just more of a requirement of the DNR. So your local governments, tribal governments are all within that grant application in that program. So just kind of getting into really what the corp entails. I like to separate it out into 4, main phases. So the first phase is, okay, where are we now? We'll look at the needs assessment, your inventory, again, what you guys have out there. And then, we'll kind of look at where do you want to be? Where do you see New London within the next 5 years as far as park and rec? So that's your vision, your goals. How can we draw from that? And then how do you get there? So that's your phase 3, your strategy. We'll look at action plan, recommendations, what's feasible, what's not. There could be dollar signs within there, but again, it's just a plan. It's not stating that the city should spend this kind of money. It's just more of a representation and an estimate that, this is how much it would cost to put something like this in. Say you got a playground or, some other kind of soccer field or something to that effect. And then phase 4 is really the finalization stage, where you're looking at your metrics and value, your documentation, what is the public actually, stating in this plan, and the adoption phase as far as the city council along with the Park and Rec board. And you can stop me anytime if you guys got questions, I guess, too. Didn't say that at the beginning. To give you a tentative timeline, little overview here. This is kind of really how your 9 to 12 month process really works. We have the planning process overview, which is today. I'm looking forward to actually getting out there and really looking at some of your parks, taking some pictures, doing a park audit, looking to see, how can a child or adult or somebody actually get to your park safely. That's your Safe Routes to Parks initiative. And then an online survey, which I'll kind of show a little bit of that tonight too. And then you go down the line. So, we look into, June, July is really when you start looking at your needs assessment, level of service analysis, the SMART goals, the SWOT analysis as far as your visioning and goal setting. And then hopefully by the end of the summer into fall, we could be ready for some more feedback opportunity, looking to see what our survey results are, and then possibly do a public meeting, and then that's an optional type thing depending on obviously how all this COVID-19 pans out in that respect too. So, looking at the schedule, hopefully we would be done by October, but, I'm thinking it's going to be probably more like the end of the year, December, once we get this thing finalized and adopted at this point. And I usually like to put in a little bit of guiding principles too for the Park and Rec Board that I work with. These are just some mindful things that we like to keep in mind when we're working on the plan. What is the growth versus your needs and your wants? People are going to want everything. You can't necessarily supply that. New trends, what are the new activities that the youth are actually doing out there now? How does that relate to the health and the environment? I'm going off here. Your public support and participation is always the biggest piece. The public is the one that, are actually going to be somewhat requesting these things. So that is a good piece of the plan. And then we start looking at what your comprehensive plan has as far as recommendations for parks. Your standards, which is really your needs assessment. If you have any shared use facilities out there, say with the schools, you have a lot of playground areas, that kind of thing. There may be some appropriate shared use sites. Looking at any of your unique features out there, obviously the Wolf River flows right through the city. You do have a lot of water and, trails along the water, so you want to really highlight those features. And then, recommendations, obviously looking at some of your maintenance. Is there any facilities out there that are over or misuse or underuse for that matter? Does something need to be switched out? And then you go into that feasible action plan, and we always like to have our park and rec directors review their plan annually and evaluate it. Usually it's kind of their Bible as far as checking off, okay, we did this project, now move on to the next. So that's kind of just some background pieces as far as what to kind of keep in mind when we're working on these things. And this kind of leads us back to the survey here. These are just some ideas that we have used for some of the input meetings, whether or not we're going to be able to do that with the COVID. We might be able to handle this with an online platform. We'll have to kind of take a look at that and see how this would work out. But typically these are some of the stations or different things that we would look at just to facilitate some feedback from the public. And, revenue options, what is some impacts that tourism obviously can bring, big ideas that maybe people have that you guys haven't thought of or nobody else has thought of that actually live in the city, that kind of thing. Chad, I had sent you the preview of the survey also. Let me see if I can pop that on for you. Is it better the big screen or little screen?
Either or. We are still seeing the PowerPoint right now.
Okay, let me see if I can pop that back on. Not sure if it'll allow me to do that. Interesting. Well, let me pop the PowerPoint back on. I can send, Chad can forward this on. There's a survey preview that we had put together with some questions to actually put it out on social media, the website. You could probably put it even in the utility bill, just to get people out there thinking of the park and rec facilities. Again, it's spring, it's a good time to do this. A lot of times we'll want to run this from Memorial Day to Labor Day. It's a good time, just to kind of feed that through. So I guess really it's more of just some of the questions that are in there. Let me see what I have as far as some of the questions that we put in. So really it's more of, user base. We want to see, what are people's favorite park? What is the park that they're most utilizing out there? What are their recommendations as far as what park would they recommend New London Parks to somebody else? Satisfaction rates. We'll want to look at park and amenities. What are they actually utilizing out there? Trail usage. What type of trail should New London really have? And then, even the quality and quantity of each type of facility along with maintenance concerns. So those are really some of the questions that we have on that survey. And I would encourage you to, grab that link, take a look at it. If you had any other changes, any other questions you think you would like answered, now is the time to probably do that, before we actually deploy that out to the public and get it released. So it's a pretty decent survey too. I wish I could get it back up on the screen. A lot of pictures. It's totally different than SurveyMonkey. It's a little more interactive. It just makes it more fun for people to actually fill out the survey itself. And don't have too much more here again. So really the next steps is more on my end. I just need to get out there and just take a look at what your parks have and what they don't have right now. We can get that survey going. And we can probably set a deadline. Obviously, you probably want it out, have the deadline probably the Friday before Memorial Day or that week of. And then, looking, forward into the needs assessment, level of service, get you guys a fact sheet on your population and the projections out there of, do you have enough park acreage to support your growing population? And then as we move into the later summer and fall, looking more into maybe a public meeting and envisioning sessions. So that's really all I have tonight. Do you have any questions, concerns on the process or where we're going at all with this?
I have one question.
Sure.
When you're coming here to do the inventory, does someone from the city go along with you?
They can. It's not really necessary. A lot of times it's more on my end that I like to just kind of go out myself just to kind of get a neutral perspective sometimes of the parks too. I know your parks pretty well, obviously, because I grew up here. So yeah, it's not really necessary. They don't need to take time away from, their busy schedules for that. I usually just make my own little trip and go around and make my own notes. We actually have a app on a tablet that I use, and we just kind of check the boxes, and that usually is included within the appendices of the plan itself also.
Anybody have anything else?
For goal setting, is that done by you, Chad, and Ginger, or is it done through the committee, or?
It'll be a group process, so just want to make sure I'm unmuted. Yep. It'll be a group process so that, we'll do the inventory and kind of look at what we have. And then this is a great time for the committee to think of, okay, where do we want to go with things? Do we need to be focusing on, neighborhood parks in a certain area? I mean, we don't really have too many park areas right now developed north of Pfeiffer Park, so is that a priority for the city to do? Or do we need to expand our trail system? Or, what do we need to do? So, the public participation piece, which the committee and council will be part of that, is basically the gathering point of what does the public want to see? We always want to hear what the public is thinking. So that survey, and then if we can do anything in person, that's going to be the data collection point of it to see and help. This is like our 5-year document where we're going to go forward, where are we going to focus, where are we going to be. It helps me create the budgets, moving forward. Because if you guys feel like this is the direction we need to take, then I got to figure out budget-wise, what we got to do with that. And then also, like Trish said, I mean, it's imperative. We would not be able to apply for the stewardship grant if we didn't have this document. So our current document expires at the end of this year. And that's why we're doing this again for the next 2021 through 2025 cycle. But yeah, I mean, start thinking now if there's things that you guys want to focus on. But like Trish said, she's got that big timeline in there. There'll be points in there to start bringing that information together. And then you guys have the final say, if
That's right.
someone wants to do something specific, but the group says no, that we don't want that in the plan, then you guys are going to be the ones to decide that.
Yeah, again, you know, it's the city's plan. It's not my plan. So you guys have to really tell me what you really want in there. And if there's a specific project, like Chad was saying, that really should be documented within the corp itself. That will give you more points later on when you're applying for grant applications through the stewardship funding. There's also, I believe now that you are in the process, you are still eligible now that we are starting the process of the corp. And so say, I know, well, May 1st has already passed on some of the stewardship grant, but you know, you can still apply for other grants as you are in the process of planning and finishing up the document itself too. So I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but that is out there also.
So, and there's questions in these grants that, is this project specified in your corp plan? So that's why we want that in there, to get points based off of that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? So
No.
Trish, oh, go ahead.
No action needs to be.
I was just gonna say, Trish, we don't have any action points at this point in time. It was just
No.
information based at this point, right?
Yeah, it's just information. Our next step again is to really get the survey out. So again, I'll send Chad off that link again, just to have you kind of look at that and look at that deadline the Friday before Memorial Day to really, get it out so that and maybe you want to actually have it, that Monday before Memorial Day weekend. I think that's the 18th, so I would think within the next couple of weeks here, just so that we have time to deploy the link and just get it online. People are going to be starting to with that. And then our basic next step that we'll probably, I'll probably meet with you again just to give you the needs assessment and just some of the data. So again, a lot of information right now, really nothing for you guys to really pass until we really get to the end of the process. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Michelle. Move on to the Wilford Bartley. Chad, you want to check that up? Yep, one on the list.
I can pick that up. Thanks again, Trish, for,
You're welcome. Sounds good. I'll be in touch.
Sounds great. Wolford Art League, next item on the agenda. As you remember, several months ago, the Art League approached the Parks and Rec and then the City Council gaining permission to paint murals on the side of city-owned buildings. The committee approved that, and council blessed it at the time. As an afterthought, they thought, well, we'd like to see some agreements just to make sure that our artwork is staying on the buildings, not that they do all that work and 3 months later we decide we're going to paint it over again. So that's basically what the agreement is all about. And we did negotiate a little bit. What you see in your packet is not exactly what they presented. We wanted to protect the city in a couple of different areas, and we did add that in there. So they're looking at, they're asking for approval of that agreement that's in your packet. So they have permission to actually put the murals, paint the murals on the side of some city-owned buildings that we have. So they're just looking for that permission, and they're ready to go. They've been asking for a couple weeks now. Can we go? Can we go? And I said, you guys gonna wait till I get this agreement approved. So.
Are some of their concerns that the building gets sold and then they would have paintings on it? Is that?
I think it was a matter of, they wanted to see, I think they had a 5-year term or something that they'd like to see, but we actually put in there some of the terms that we had. It'd say, because the skate park was one building that they wanted to paint on, three or four sides of the skate park building. And you can see in the verbiage in there, we put in there, say it burnt down or a storm took it down and we don't want to rebuild it. We put it in there that we have the right not to rebuild it, not that we had to rebuild it because of this agreement and they had to put the mural back up. So we did protect ourselves in some areas like that. And I think we did put in there for the downtown businesses that if we sold the building, they were protected, that we're not guaranteeing that that's going to happen, that was going to stay on there.
That was my question. Was that one of their concerns?
We added some of that language in there to protect us, not that we put a mural on the Chris Barber Shop and we're stuck for 5 years not being able to develop things, and we didn't want to be locked into that. They understood that, so they agreed to that additional language.
So I look for our recommendation to approve an agreement with Wolf River Art Leagues on murals located on city-owned buildings.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mike? No, I just, okay.
I'm just looking for volunteers. I've painted several of the walls white. And if anybody wants to help out, they're totally looking for people to help at any time. But they've done a great job. I mean, just really getting it. Season calls me every day to try to get me to paint. When it's too windy, or I'm not painting because I'm not going to get overspray in a car or something like that. You know, so, but gotta get the right weather. But if anybody's willing to help out, there's plenty of work to be done. So.
I am floored how fast they're putting those murals up just in a week or two. I mean, if you go around town and see what they're doing, some of the bigger stuff, I can't believe how quickly it's going up. So,
How many buildings are they actually looking at doing?
for the city or for the city owned or all? That came to planning commission, I think. I can't remember how
It's
many it
30
was.
some. It's 38.
Well, 38. I don't recall.
Who's trying?
41.
No, 41.
41. So we got about 30 of them done already.
Really?
They're going to town.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of it.
Hey, Chad, you want to take that about the electronic pay stations finally?
I sure can. We've been talking about this for a while. We've got a bunch of information in your packets.
Chad?
Yeah.
Excuse me, was there a motion a second to get vote on it?
Yes.
Now we voted on it.
Dennis and Lori and then all. So good. So the pay station, electronic pay stations, Riverside Boat Launch, we've been talking about this for a while. And like I said in my memo, we started doing some research. We found out that City of Oshkosh was in the process of bidding out the same type of project that we were. So we kind of waited to see what they were going to do. And in their process, they found out that the DNR recently bid out a state contract or bid specification for electronic pay stations. And in the DNR spec, which a lot of state contracts or state bids have this language in there that municipalities can piggyback off that. So we're lucky enough to, we can piggyback off that state bid price, and that's, state bid prices are really good bid prices to piggyback off of. And in your packet, I have some pricings in there about what that is. I'm going to try to share my screen here myself to kind of show some of the information. All right. So in the state bid contract, you can kind of see that the electronic pay stations, their bid price was $5,900 per unit. Bob and I have done some research. We've seen them up to 10, 12, 15,000 a piece. So this was a really good base price. Obviously, there's different things to add on to it. And I made a recommendation in my packet, or in the memo. I think bill collection is a good thing. I can see many people coming down there. They don't like, there's a population that doesn't like using credit cards. I, for one, I probably use credit card more than the cash. So, but I think the bill acceptance would probably be a good thing to really strongly consider. You can kind of see that price. The change was the big thing that I didn't know if we wanted to do that, because that was going to be a big ticket item. If we wanted to do change, we could not give change in dollar bills. Change had to be given in coins. So you could do change in $1 coins. So example, if Bob goes down there and throws a $20 bill in the machine for $5 charge, he would get $15 in $1 coins back. However, for that feature, for both units, it'd be a $7,500 upgrade for that. So that's a little pricey for that. So, and I was thinking that, you know what, after I thought about it for a while, if I don't have exact change, I can still use a credit card and just, use a credit card, which is included in the base price. So I didn't really think that was something that, unless you guys really feel you want to do change, that's kind of a high ticket item. I do recommend that we do some type of cover, and we do have several options for the cover. I think I put in here the metal plate cover, and I can show you the different pictures. So the first option is a canvas cover, especially just in the winter, keeping it out of the winter snow and ice and stuff like that. You don't want the ice getting in there. But this option, I can see someone taking an X-Acto knife and going right through it. Option 2, which I think I'm going to recommend, is a hard base plate. This could be just snapped in there and then locked in the bottom. So during the winter or times that we don't need anybody using it, that we can put that on there. And then option 3, which was really pricey, but obviously the best security option, a fully enclosed unit, and you can kind of see this unit up here, right here. It comes down to the garage door, like a screen door, like a metal roll down door. That option, how much are the options? So the canvas bag cover was $540 per unit. The metal plate for $200-ish more. I thought that was going to be better. But then the roll shutter was $3,495. So I thought that was going to be a little pricey for that option as well. We're also going to have to get electricity to it. We're going to have to get bollards. I would recommend that we put bollards around it so somebody doesn't think they can just back their pickup truck, knock it over, and throw it back in the truck and take it. I'd rather put bollards around it. There is an annual software fee for each unit. That is $540 per year, per unit. And that includes the software, because there's a virtual cloud software that all this information goes to, that I can go on and log in and tell you how many people log on or paid per day, and you can get reports and things like that.
You can do that stuff right from your office.
Correct. Then also the cellular connection, because this is using cell phone towers for the credit card machine process. That's included in that fee. And then also the payment gateway, which is the credit card fee. Typically, credit cards you pay per transaction. So you got like a 5% charge at least per transaction. The state, when they bid out one lump sum for all 3 of those items. And this bid came back at $540 per year annually. It doesn't matter if we do 10,000 transactions, we're not paying more per swipe or a percentage per swipe. It's one lump sum, which I couldn't believe it. That was incredible. So that's going to be an annual cost, no matter for 10 years or whatever we keep these for. We're going to have to put ADV path there, and I just threw the number in there for contingency. So, I mean, there's some extras in there, depending on which extras we do. I think if we take out, in my memo, I put in there a dollar amount of $30,230. But if we remove the $7,500 for the change giver, what is that, 23 something? So I guess if you guys want to proceed with it, I mean, that's going to be the recommendation at this point in time.
Can you put a change thing on just one of them?
You could do that.
That would be there, you could have something that says, one says exact change only, the other one would have change if you're gonna put 2 of them in there anyway.
That's an option.
When you swing into that boat landing, you would just go to the next one.
Correct. You could actually do that with the change and the bill acceptance, now that you say that. You could have one set up to just credit cards, and you could have a second one set up for bill and change if you want. Now,
I think you should offer change at some point, but I understand that $7,000 for 2 of them, that's pretty pricey.
Correct. And you might want to do bill acceptance for both, because during the walleye run, it gets busy down there, so you want people to get in and out. I mean, if you ever launch the boat during that time, people are waiting, so they don't want to be screwing around. So, but that is an option. You could just do it for one. Absolutely. That's a good idea.
I think that whatever shop is down there, they're always going to have an agreement to sell the annual passes.
Yep.
They're also, at least I can tell you in the foreseeable future, they're there 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the change is available there. We already give out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of change at that concession there. So if you want to look at saving 3,500, they got to walk 50 yards and they got change there.
And I put that in my memo. I didn't want to assume that throwing everybody your way is going to be a hassle, or do you want them coming over by you to come in the shop?
They've been doing it for 30 years, so it's fine.
They're getting changed now that way.
If they park sideways, then we're going to have a problem giving them change. But, they do it all the time. We're there. We're part of. I don't think it's been brought up. I know when I talked to them, I never asked me like I was what they were doing with points. Did they mention that to you at all? They were doing?
They did not, and I didn't ask.
No, I didn't. So, I never thought of that aspect of it.
But I think it's whatever you guys want to do. I mean, we have the options.
Can change can be added later if If we buy a base unit, can that be installed at a later date in case for some reason something changed with the change being able to change things later if we buy.
Sorry. Let me go to their website once. I just want to look at one thing. Where's the because one of the options that are in here, you see there's a custom wrap that goes on it. And I'm going to share my screen again for everyone. So this is what the unit looks like. There's more picture there. There's picture. The only thing is, I don't know. I have to ask if you can add it later because I don't know if they've got everything punched out as an option down the road. I would have to ask that because you can see here, this one takes credit cards, and the whole point of this thing, I don't think we mentioned that right now. The whole point of this thing is so it spits out a receipt that they put on top of their dash that they can't cheat. It's got date and timestamp on it. Whereas right now with the envelopes, I can grab an envelope and just put my date on there and slap it on my windshield and not pay anybody. So they can't as easy, I guess, cheat on the receipt that's spit out here. This one I know doesn't have coins. One of these other options did show what it looks like with coins. If I can zoom into this one. But I know I've seen other ones where like the credit card's here and the coin's here and the bill acceptance is here. So I would have to find out if we can get that after the fact.
Would we approve this, like a contingency on it, like you do when you build a garage stand, if it's gonna be a little bit more, say $500 or $1,000 more, that we go ahead and do it so we could approve it tonight to get it going, and then if there's some add-ons, like they do that all the time for businesses and stuff, they're making a building, so
The other option would be, like Jim Huffman had a car wash there, the change giver still on the building, Change giver, they're at every laundromat. Maybe you have one of them in the pavilion there, so it stays dry, and it's just when the crews are there to collect money out of those 2 units, there's a change machine there. It's a separate unit with its own protection, like you get at the laundromat or the car wash. You can put 25, 10, and it'll give you a change. So, I don't know what those cost on their own. Because, like Mike said, what if the shop's not there, or what if that's expanded parking?
What if I ask the committee to make the recommendation to proceed forward right now without the bill change, knowing that the bait shop is okay with the change, but I will ask before the council meeting and find out for you guys to understand if it's easy to add it on after the fact. At least know that before you guys approve it at the council meeting. And then like if we don't do it now and the bait shop's not there, like you said, can we just get a change machine that's separate? And you know what, in 5 years, is anybody gonna use dollar bills as much anymore? Or is more and more people gonna use electronic payment?
Just a quick look at a change machine. They go from $800 for a pretty cheap, simple one to one, like you said, at the laundromat is roughly $3,500.
So it'll be the same whether we add it or not.
If it's one less thing we have to monkey around with as staff, that's cool. The fill the change machine all the time. But yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to add in. Remember, the purpose of getting these machines is so that we can actually capture all the dollars that we might have been missing, and that means down the road you're going to have more funds to go after and say get a change machine. Because if I remember right, the dock fees or the boat fees are only supposed to be used for that area.
Correct.
do you think we should word this? Make a motion to consider authorizing the purchase of them? With you looking into the change machine?
Yeah, I would say make the recommendation to purchase it as proposed without the change giver option. If that's the route you guys want to go.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, Jeff.
Is that Dennis at second? Okay.
Okay, on the purchase of the cameras then for the Riverside Park.
Yes.
That's the guys that are cheap.
Exactly. I do not have costs yet. We're still in the planning stages. I've actually been working with Chief on that one. We're not quite ready. I was hoping, or I was thinking, I wanted to get it on the agenda just in case we're ready, but we're not quite ready. We're working with utilities and just looking at all our options. But I would recommend down the road that we get some cameras down there. Number one, to overshoot, the areas, to catch cheaters or anything. But number two, shine them on these two new units, just so we got cameras on them. Not that someone starts screwing around and banging them up, and at least we can find out who's doing that. So
One of them ones that I saw when I was researching this, they showed that metal cover over the front of it. One that I saw, so that's the cheaper. The second option you talked about, from connecting up,
yes,
the one I did see had that on it, so that, I would almost think that's why the little people are going with it, something you can't, you know.
I think just having something metal's going to be less easy than a canvas bag to rip into and get into them. So, but I don't have it for an action item right now. We're just kind of talk about. I would like to get some cameras down there, and we're kind of working on the design of everything as we move forward. And like I said, we've got a pretty decent, healthy fund going on right now for the boat launch that we can be funding some of these things. And down the road, Luke is actually working on right now, getting costs for replacing some of the docks too. So we're doing more research down at that launch because we have some funding that we can do some improvements.
There's something that we can piggyback off of that stuff that the police department is doing as well.
That's exactly what we're doing. Yep. So utilities is actually working on the street light program. They're going to get one demo one. I didn't know how quickly this was going to pan out, but they're going to look at getting one demo one to see if it works. And if that works down there, we have street lights down there already. That if it's the best application, then we can work with utilities if that works out and do that. But yeah, we're working on, actually Chief and I had a couple of powwows already just talking about that. And Chief's overall plan is also going to encompass some of the parks as well. So absolutely.
This is maybe, like we were just talking about, Mark was saying about some of the other parks. I guess we having serious problems with dumping stuff all over the city. And they're not just brush.
Yep.
Televisions, couches, tires. According to what this guy is saying, it's getting pretty bad.
That's at the brush site. We're having issues with people dumping garbage up there, which they shouldn't be. So that's definitely a
And that's
candidate for.
these cameras might.
Oh, yeah. And we just actually had someone hit the gate up there and bust off the post for that gate that's up there just recently. So we definitely have a need for cameras up there for what's going on.
Okay, nothing we're gonna do on the cameras for now.
Correct.
You want to talk about the broadcasting committee meetings? Probably most point now.
Yeah. So we've been talking about, do we want to broadcast committee meetings? Well, hello, we're broadcasting committee meetings, like it or not. So basically for the committee or the council, I kind of talked about, after this whole COVID thing, when public can come back in the meetings, do you want to continue with what we're doing right now? I mean, it's up to you guys. I think the devices and how we do it, right now we're just trying to do as much as we can, but I think what we do is, once we get our new cable producer on board, we need to look at a major upgrade of some of that equipment. The sound system right here is antiquated. A lot of the stuff in the back, the cable servers are, I think, 10 or 11 years old. And think about a computer that's 11 years old. That's old. So, and I didn't want to do that, like I said, when Dick was here, and then have the new guy just say, oh, I would have done it differently. I'd rather have the new person come in and give us the info how we want to do that. So we will be looking at some upgrades of, how we, and make a recommendation of how we want to videotape council meetings and committee meetings with technology we want to use. I can see pointing Zoom cameras on the wall instead of having Ginger and I, like videotape type things. And then we'll have to kind of figure out, like in this case, right now we got one camera, but we don't have everybody captured in one camera situation. So do we need to reconfigure things to make it work out a little better for capturing a committee meeting? And then how are we going to do that? So, but the point for you guys is the $64 million question. Do you want to continue broadcasting committee meetings at this point in time? And then what committees? All committees? Certain committees, the top 3 committees, the big 3 committees?
I think it'll continue to talk about it while it's Claris is more with an entity kind of making a decision on because it would be costly to us.
And the cost is we need to do an upgrade anyway.
Yeah.
So the point would be planning that in the upgrade if we're going to do that or not.
But I mean, in the past, Nick was always here for council meetings, not for committee meetings.
Correct.
So if the person you hire to replace him, you gotta do a call meeting with the extra cost.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's myself or the city administrator, myself,
Oh, okay.
whoever's with the meeting, pushing a button and it records it, and then the person later on, videotapes it later. So it could be Lou, it could be myself, it could be Judy. If we can make it easy.
Yeah. That's something that they got Martinville done?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, director's report.
I think I want to identify some anniversaries. James Coakley at the treatment plant, he completed his first year on March 4th. Julie Geeson has 2 years. She's one of our facility custodians on April 2nd. Paul Nelson, one of our park laborers / mowers, completed 5 years, April 20th. And then Jane Murphy, one of our administrative assistants, she completed her first year on April 22nd. So congratulate those people for their anniversaries. And I guess the only other point on my report is we are currently looking at replacing our video producer position. We had 33 applicants. I did not think we were going to get that many applicants. I was blown out of the water. And some of the talent I'm seeing, wow, I'm impressed. I mean, we got applications from overseas. We got applications from Texas. We got a lot of applications, cool applications. So we narrowed down to the top 10, and I just emailed them out last week, asking the top 10 to each submit 2 videos, and I gave them the parameters that are, to kind of see what their talent is. So that'll be in the next process of the evaluation, the top 10, and then we'll evaluate down to the top 4 and probably interview those and go from there. But some really cool talent for some of the videos and stuff that I saw. So I was not expecting that whatsoever.
Anything for chairman reports? Any committee members got anything? I'm not on the committee, but I remember I mentioned about those docks down there. I had like 3 different people. For some reason, I must be good at fish, so they were following me. And you had mentioned that has nothing to do with the water levels as far as the docks down by the bait shop.
Yes. So the docks down at the bait shop, we have the runs in, but we don't have the L's in. I made it crystal clear to Luke that a priority getting in. Those docks, the water level does not matter for getting the boat launch docks in. The dock behind Taft Park, the dock behind on the Vernon Riverwalk behind State Farm Insurance, those have to be down at a certain level because the anchor points are typically underwater. I think they are actually. Yeah, they have to get down to the point so we can get to them. But the boat launch ones, no. We need to get those in.
Spurned this is that they saw the other docks were in there, like, how come the boat docks are in that one?
They just got the big one in on Friday because people can still use the boat launch now. They can use it. So we figured that one was the priority, and then the next priority will be getting those in. One of the challenges right now, the crews have been cut in half. We're trying to get everything done with half the crew right now. So, but Luke knows it's a priority to get those in as well.
I mentioned that back to you that I talked to, and hopefully we can get that resolved for them. So,
Yep.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Next month, then I
I don't know if I have any right now.
Sarah, come up there.
Something will come up.
Yeah. got anything else? To adjourn?
Second.
Motion's been made to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn.